I was a radio operator. I ran the radio station. I wasn't allowed to do any transmission because it was wartime. But we received instructions over the radio. I had learned how to decipher these things, deciphered them for the ship, and this gave us instructions what to do next. We were directed to leave Marseille and go all the way along the ports of the French Riviera. And eventually we wound up in Naples, where they loaded us up with ammunition, aircraft bombs and artillery things, and really right up to the top. And there was no effort to mount any anti-aircraft guns on our ship. And so I was getting worried. I didn't want to get involved in this. This was a suicide mission. So I checked around with the office, which had handled our jobs. I wanted to see if they could find me another ship. And they eventually did. There was a really smart motor vessel, which took on troops and vehicles and some gasoline stuff and that sort of thing. It was meant for Tunis. And so I was really pleased I was moved by gear over there, but eventually when I did arrive at the other ship, I found some other fellow who had seniority, had managed to talk the office into switching the whole thing so he could get onto that ship. So I had to take my gear all the way back to Cowrie and really was depressed with this whole thing. The next morning, this other ship left port and it hardly got out of the port of Naples when it got torpedoed and it just blew up. There's a big explosion. And I remember our ship shaking as a result of it. We were quite close too. And in the meantime, our ship had been moved to the outside seawall to keep it away from the port of Naples, and because of the cargo we had on board. And the same day, in the late afternoon, we were told to go leave port, and we were told where to. And I thought Tunis too. And we went by the ship where the other place had sunk and was blown up. But we had a very pleasant journey. Just the ship sort of chugged along with this one propeller and the steam engine, and all the way to Palermo in Sicily, northern Sicily. And we tied up Palermo, where they tied us up at the seawall again, outside from the port. So we were out there, and while we were there, by the seawall, the port itself was attacked by airplanes. There was a real big attack, bomb attack. And all the time we were sitting at the seawall of Palermo and just looking at this thing like tourists looking like at a show. None of the bombers thought of wasting a bomb at this Trump steamer sitting there by the seawall. British divers got into the port and planted all kinds of contact mines onto the various ships. All kinds of explosions happened during this thing, and we were wondering what's happening. So we were moved back to the seawall, and the following morning we went onto a convoy to Tunis. And we got torpedoed. But an explosion tore apart quite a bit of the ship, but by the time the firepower reached the central tanks, the firepower was gone. We had a lot of airplanes in our convoy, but they were supposed to protect us, but in the meantime they played games as if they were going to attack me, throw torpedoes, but of course they didn't. They're just practicing. But our ship didn't know that, so our gunners shot like crazy, and they really got mad. And then they practiced bombing. And so
on your own ship.
In the meantime, our ship got torpedoed because this American or this British U-boat watched all this and thought it was a good time to shoot this ship, this freighter. And so once we were disabled, we couldn't go to Tunis, the Luftwaffe disappeared with no more use. And the Italian Navy disappeared too, and we were just left to ourselves.